Welcome to Global Business. I am your host, Dr. Neva. Today I am excited because this person I met during my networking endeavor. I saw him more than once and had an opportunity to speak with him to really get an understanding of what exactly he does. He's an entrepreneur with over 10 years of experience. He's a family man and he is extremely progressive. And as you know, I love individuals to introduce themselves. So I have with me Kyle Griffith.
Yes.
And welcome.
I'm very excited to be here, Dr. Neva. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak with you and your audience. I'm ready, and I'm thankful, to be here. I'm grateful. Thank you.
More than
I've watched
welcome.
many of your shows, and I just love the format. I love what you're doing, and when we connected at that expo, I felt the connection. So I know at some point we will be connected. I know we'll be sitting, in a studio here doing an interview, but I'm glad that you give me the opportunity to come out and speak with you.
You're welcome. So please tell the world about you.
Well, as Dr. Neva said, my name is Kyle Griffith. I'm originally from Trinidad and Tobago. That's where both my parents and I originated from. I migrated to the U.S. about 21 years ago. My dad was in the oil business. He was in sales. My mom was into fashion design. And, I love what my parents were doing, but I wanted a different opportunity. I was always entrepreneurial from an early age. I can remember even in the church, helping the church out, selling books and doing different things. So from a young age, I was very, very entrepreneurial. So I'm not surprised that I landed in the type of work I'm doing right now.
And what type of work are you in exactly?
So it's a little bit multifaceted. Primarily, though, I work with business owners where the owner's looking to exit or sell their company. So I come on board and I assist them to prepare their business for sale. We work through their books, we look at their management, we look at their location, we look at their lease, we look at their revenues, and we determine what would be a good price for them to sell their business. And we help them, and we try to find the right buyer for them. What we have noticed from the research that we have done, that it's not always the numbers or the money that gets deals done, it's the culture. Employees want to know that they're moving to a new company that be a good fit for them, be a good opportunity for them. So that we notice is key. So we're trying to find a buyer that has a similar culture as our client does, and it'll be an easy transition, for that owner. So we help them, find a buyer and help them exit their business on their terms. So we want them to be proactive, not just wait till last minute, unforeseen illness or something happened and they have to, come out of the business. They want to be able to be working with us, hands-on, plan a year or two out to actually prepare their business for sale.
Excellent. Now we are going to break this down into steps in a few moments, but I really want the audience to understand that what you do, but there are different parts of business. There's a development part. People are anxious to start business, but after a certain level, you want to sell.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people, they want to retire, they want to move on, or it may be they want to transition into something else. I recalled a time back, I was at a conference and a young lady had a restaurant. After 10 years, approximately 10 years, she decided that she wanted to sell and move into technology because she felt that's where the money is. And you prepare people to sell their business, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you were nice enough, and I'm going to show the audience, you can't see it, but this is a little paper with 11 deadly mistakes made by sellers. And I want you to go through this and tell the audience, what are the mistakes sellers make when they're selling their businesses?
Yeah, I'd love to share. I want to touch on something that you just mentioned. Most folks, when they either start a business or buy a business, they don't think, what's the long-term plan here? For instance, if you were looking for your first home, right? You know that, okay, I'm going to buy this home, I'm going to raise my family, raise my kids. So I'm looking for a home for that purpose, right? I'm going to raise my kids, and at some point, I may need a smaller home because the kids are off to college, right? So I might sell that home, get a smaller home. Or let's say it's your second home, you're looking for an investment property. So you're going to buy and hold. Or you're more experienced, you want to fix and flip. So you buy a property, you fix it up, sell it for, for profit. The same thing, you want to think the same concept when you starting or buying a business. What's your plan? Are you going to go public, Are you going to keep it for the family? You're just going to sit back and reap the rewards and just grow with the company, keep it as a closely held family business. So that's something you definitely want to consider whatever you're starting or buying a business.
So are you saying, like, I'm a business owner, so at the beginning of my business, I should also think about how it's going to end? Do you
Well,
think
necessary end,
Okay.
but you want to think with the end in mind.
Okay.
So you want to future-proof your business, right? So I know you have a global audience, right?
Yes.
There's a lot of interest in the U.S. market, a lot of interest in U.S. business.
Yeah.
There's a lot of foreign investors that are coming to the U.S. on EB-5 visas for the purpose of moving their family for a better life. Hey, I moved here, right? So folks are doing it, every day. So that's something you definitely want to think about. What changes can you make to your business today so that you can grow it and create a business that is sellable? So now you have an asset that you can either keep, and keep nurturing it and reaping rewards, or you can pass it on to second generation, or you can go public, or you can sell the business. So those would be options. But there are a couple of mistakes that sellers make, and I could definitely touch on a few of them.
Please.
The first one we have is going to market with the incorrect price. When you go to your doctor for your annual checkup, right? She checks all your vitals. You go get blood work done. I mean, you have to do it once a year, correct? The same thing with your business. You want to make sure that you give your business a physical, once a year. You check inventory. You get rid of your dead weight, slow moving inventory. You want to make sure that the employees are there, happy, and want to be there, and they're working to their full potential. You want to make sure that your leases are in order. You're in a good location. You want to make sure your finances in check. Your legal, your liabilities, and whatnot. So you want to check all that. But as far as the pricing goes, we want to make sure when you go to market, we want to make sure it's priced correctly. Because usually what happens is most business owners has no idea of what their business is worth. And we can go back to the real estate analogy that I mentioned. So you live in, I don't know, in College Point or wherever you live, and your neighbor sells their house for $1 million. You automatically think that, my house is worth $1 million.
Right.
Right? Little do you know that, they're probably like a 6-bedroom house, and you probably have a 4-bedroom, 1.5 bath, or whatever the case may be. The same thing with business, but the difficult thing is, though, that selling a business is confidential, it's private information. Not everything is disclosed. So if you might have a colleague of yours that sold their business for $1 million, you don't know the schematics of that deal, or you don't know, how they came to that valuation. So you want to go out to market with the right price. You don't want to go to a price that's too high, because buyers that are buying these days, they're very sophisticated. They know the market, they know their numbers, and if you're priced way over than what your business should be worth, they're not even going to take you seriously. Okay. And then you don't want to price too low, because you could possibly have seller's remorse, right?
Right.
It's like, I sold it for too less. I had plans for retirement. I wanted to move to Florida, and I probably should have held out and sell it for.
And that happens in real estate too,
Yes,
right?
yes.
People, price their property incorrectly, or you price it, you just want to get rid of it because you're stressed. Maybe that's the case. And find out later the person that bought it from you made a profit quickly because you just did not do your homework.
Yes.
And I do want to say to the audience, you actually are involved in real estate.
Yes, I am.
Yes.
Yes, I work with the #1 real estate office in Queens County, Keller Williams Landmark. So I recently expanded my business, and we were talking about this prior to the broadcast. So I essentially work with business clients. But business owners own property as well. They own business property, and they also own personal property. So I actually have 2 clients I'm working right now. One is an automotive business. He's 51 years old. He can work, a lot more years, but he's been working from a very young age and just pretty much is burnt out right now. He's looking to sell his business and, move to Florida, right? I have another client. It's an HVAC company, the same scenario. He has kids in Pennsylvania, he has property in Florida, so, he's looking to sell his business. So he also has commercial property as well, and, a residence. So, I'm just giving you, scenarios. So, wife and I, we decided to, expand our offerings. And it's not just a one-man show. So it's all about, a team approach. So even in my M&A business brokerage, I work with, other people to help me get the deal done. My managing partner is a CPA for 35 years. He's also a business owner himself. He had his Carvel franchises that he has sold, and that's kind of like his, his how he got into the brokerage business when he sold his companies. So he handles most of our valuation work and our numbers and reviewing financials. My other partner, he is the president of the New York Association of Business Brokers, and pretty much work with new brokers that are getting into the industry, making sure that they're up to speed as far as what it takes to be a business broker, and they're following the code of ethics and standards that it should be following here in New York State. So I rely on them. They have, over 30 years of business experience. Myself, we have a family-run UPS business for the past 11 years.
So you're an entrepreneur.
Yeah, so to be in this business, to relate to business owners, you have to be an entrepreneur. You have to be empathetic. You have to feel their pain, and it is a process.
I like that. Having to feel their pain,
yes.
Knowing what they're going through. You have to understand someone in order for you to better service them.
Of course.
So we're going to continue with this list because I see some very good points. Number 6, fails to locate best buyers.
So we were touching on that. So let's say you're selling, I don't know, a machine shop, whatever the business is, you name it, okay? So what we like to educate our clients on is to make sure when you come to us, you also wanted to have this discussion with your financial planner and your CPA, because most business owners, their money is wrapped up into their business. The majority of their money is in their business. So their whole retirement fund, it's in their business. So a lot of times they think, well, you know what? I want $1 million for my business. That's going to fund my retirement. Little do they know, this buyer might pay you $1 million, but what if part of it is an earnout? So meaning, let's say they gave you a percentage up front, let's say 30% down, and they pay you this remainder 70% over 4 or 5 years, whatever the case may be. So you got your $1 million, but 70% is in notes. And then this buyer pretty much run the company down to the ground. And what happened? You're stuck with a business. You pretty much stuck with a business that you could have kept and sold to a buyer that actually knows what he's doing and have some experience and have a track record running a similar business.
You mentioned notes. What do you mean by notes?
So a lot of deals are done. Right now the market is good. There's more rates. You can get financing, but majority of the deals we do, there's some seller financing component. So for instance, you own a business. Right? I'm offering you to buy a business, let's say, for $500,000, right? But I'm not going to give you $500,000. It's just like real estate, right? You're going to, like real estate, put a 20% down payment. So in this sense where you become the bank. So I'm going to give you, 20%. I'm going to give you $100,000, right? And I'll pay you the remaining $400,000 over a period of time. So you become the bank. I pay you interest on the note that I'm holding. That you're holding, and that's it's a seller financing process. So sometimes you have a deal where part of it is seller financing, part of it is commercial, bank financing, and the other part the buyer, brings to the table.
That's cool. And then number 10, I'm just running through this list here. If you want to know more about this list, I will tell you how to contact us in another time. But just skimming through this list, number 10, fails to disclose hidden problems.
So, let me give you a scenario. So I sold a trucking company last year. This particular client, we go back about 2 years. Usually, before we meet with a client, we like to get all information up front, financials and what information we can, so we can give them the right pricing. We can get more educated about their business, industry, and provide the right pricing. But just like a marriage, right? So I'll give you another analogy. If you're getting married to someone or you're dating, you're courting someone, right? They're going to be they're going to put their best foot forward, right? Of course. We look all pretty, all done up and everything, and then
dolled up.
Yeah, and then a month later, like the hair is this way. Like, what happened? Your hair was this way the last time, So the same thing in business. So even though they come to us and they're interviewing us, to service their company, in reverse, we also interview them as well, because we want to make sure it's a business that's sellable. But a lot of times owners are not forthcoming with certain circumstances. So in this particular circumstance, we had every deal has issues. One of the biggest issues, though, which wasn't really an issue, it was just that the owner, he was actually dealing with a health ailment. And I found out, I knew something was wrong, but I found out he disclosed that to me after we received an offer, a substantial offer for their company. So with his permission, we disclosed that to the buyer. And luckily, it goes back to the other point about finding the right buyer. This buyer was a larger company. They have done multiple deals, very strong track record, very well capitalized. They have the manpower, the resources. So, and they had the culture. His staff, he had 2 key employees that was going to get guaranteed jobs, and some of the drivers as well. So it was a perfect scenario. So with his permission, we went to the buyer and we let him know, what's happening. He said, man, I love, my client. We had they hit it off, they had a good relationship. And luckily, it worked out, but it could have killed the deal, because usually what happens when you sell a business is a transition period where the owner, the seller, stays involved for a certain time to make sure all of the goodwill, all of the clients, all the customers transition over to the new buyer. But with his particular problem, his illness, he's limited in his capacity to do that. So we had to make sure that some of his key employees can pick up some of the slack. So that's one issue. Another issue can be a lawsuit, or we had a deal where one of the employees was stealing money from the company and stealing contracts and was doing business on the side. So a lot of things come up, and you just know it's going to come up, and you just have to be in a position where you can educate them what's the right step. Either we have to take it off the market, clean things up, or we disclose and we try to get a deal done somehow.
So have you ever dealt with a situation where they weren't upfront and it killed the deal?
No, because I'm really good at getting information.
That is good.
It doesn't always come out in the first conversation, but eventually, because you have to let us know. We have to be on the same page. You're not going to go to your doctor's office and say, I have this big boil on my leg here, and not tell the doctor about it, because you want to make sure that gets fixed.
Right.
So the same thing, you come to us, let us know everything, and we can help you. We can. If not, we recommend a consultant so someone can come in. We do a lot of work with CPAs and CFOs that actually turn companies around. So we can refer it out and help them get their business up to speed, clean up the books, and then we can, we can speak with them in a year or two when they're ready, and we can get them even more for their company.
Okay, very good. So you mentioned there's a transition time where a seller has to still be involved in a business that he or she sold. How long is that transition period?
It depends on the business.
Okay.
If you're talking retail, so let's say you have a liquor store, right, liquor shop, it's probably not going to be that long. You're dealing mostly with walk-in customers. You're not going to really know your customers that well. You may have some repeat customers. You may have some contracts with some maybe promoters who have parties and events, and they buy a lot of liquor. But retail, maybe 2 weeks, 4 weeks, not that much. However, in a service business, it's different, because you have repeat customers, and they know you. They come into John. They call in XYZ Contracting. Can I speak with John? John has my account. John is one who's set up my units, helps install my refrigerator, whatever the case may be. They know John. So the new buyer comes in now, and they call and they ask for John. Where John is nowhere to be found. Like, okay, well, I don't need to, I can go somewhere else. Like, for instance, I don't know where you go to get your hair, nails, and everything done, but like my wife, for instance, she has someone that she goes to religiously. I won't say religiously, but, that's like her person that she goes to. And they actually move out of town. Wow. So if she was moving, let's say somewhere in the neighborhood, most likely my wife would actually go to another shop in that neighborhood. But unfortunately, her hairdresser's moving to Pennsylvania, so she's not going to go to Pennsylvania to get her hair done. Yeah,
well, you never know.
I wouldn't mind going to take a nice trip out to PA, but it's not that convenient.
And number 11 does not pre-qualify finance.
So we touched a little bit on the seller financing. So what we really like to do, so for instance, if we're going to bring a business to market, we want to make sure that if a buyer was, we found the right buyer, that your business would qualify for financing. So we have banking relationships. We would pretty much get their financials. With their permission, we would present it to our banking contacts for either SBA financing or conventional loans. And if 3 banks say, well, hey, Kyle, I reviewed this business and we would lend X amount of money, that puts our client in a better position. So instead of that particular client, or buyer, I should say, giving them, let's say, 30% down or 20% down and paying the rest over a period of time, it's going to be the opposite way around. With SBA financing, they get up to 75-80% up front. And the SBA would actually guarantee that payment. So it creates more leverage.
For those that may not know, what's SBA?
Right, so Small Business Administration.
Yeah.
So they provide loans for people looking to buy a business or invest in a business. But the bank looks at the tax returns of that business to make sure that it has a good track record. It looks at if the business is cash flowing, and they also look at your personal finances as well to make sure that you can actually you have a good credit. And with the business, you want to make sure that the cash flow can pay for the debt service. So let's say the note every month for the bank, let's say, is $10,000. If the business is not cash flowing $10,000, they're not going to write the note. So it has to have enough cash flow coming every month to cover the note. So look at these different things, and that helps because now we can go to a broader pool, not just folks that have hundreds of thousands of dollars sitting around. You can actually go to someone that has maybe less money, and you can leverage that with the bank the same way you would do in a real estate transaction. No one really buys houses all cash unless they're like a developer or investor or something, right? You go to a bank, you get a mortgage. So the same thing. So if we can leverage that, and they can put 10-20% down, and the bank covers, and then the seller usually holds back. They usually have the seller hold back maybe 5 or 10% of the note as well. So it's a good. It's good. It's something you want to. It's definitely something most sellers want to check before they put the business to market. It's a huge mistake not getting finance and not knowing whether or not a buyer can afford to buy a business, or if they can afford to if a bank would lend.
Now, one of the things that I know that you do, you network a lot. And any business owner needs to be out there letting people know what they do. And I met you at one of the organization, Queens Chamber of Commerce. Now, before that, I know I met you at Long Island African American Chamber of Commerce. They were doing an event.
Yes.
And I know you mentioned the Caribbean Business Connection. Yes. And Queens Chamber of Commerce, there was a lady chasing me down because she heard that I mentioned that I travel and I'm a keynote speaker and I help individuals to develop their business. So she wanted to speak with me because she was trying to sell her business, her training business.
Right.
And for some reason, I ran into you and you said, she wasn't ready to sell her business. And I really like how you took the time to really show me and made sense of it all.
Yeah.
And it's not just individuals. As with her, from what I understood, I probably got this wrong, but of course, she's not just doing training here in the States. She also wanted, have it globally. So selling it to me, I'll be able to push it through. That was her thought.
Yeah.
She didn't have everything lined up.
Right.
And you help individuals you'll give them that information to prepare them so that you're able to sell their business. And I know you do merges, right?
Yes. Well, essentially, a sale is a merger because you have one company buying another company. So for a period of time, they merged until the seller's name either sometimes they keep the seller's name, or they just transition everything over, all the invoices, all the bills, just go over to the buyer's name. So it might, every deal is essentially a merger at some point. Yeah.
He's out there networking. And he's big on family. And I don't want to end without talking about family, because we could talk about business. Family is so important to us.
Yes.
Do you want to share a little bit about your family and how, your wife is involved in the success of your business?
Well, she's more than involved. She's a backbone. She's that makes everything work. she, put this whole outfit together, So, yeah, so I'm huge on family. That's actually one of the reasons I became a business owner. Right? I shared with you a personal story. A couple of years ago, my wife got hurt in a car accident. It's just so funny. We were both working, it's about 10 plus years ago. I was in healthcare, she was in healthcare, and she got in a car accident, and she was able to go back to work in the same terms. And I was doing some other work, some real estate business I had. And I was like, you know what? No, I'm going to support you, right? Little do you know, I felt that it turned out that she was actually supporting me.
Wow.
Because it's different. Because when you're working for someone, like they give you, an agenda, right? You come in, you have this job description, you got to this, and that. You clock in a certain time and you clock out. So everything is just a regimen. It's like, it's set. But then when you become an entrepreneur, a business person working for your own, it's completely different. So it took some time for me to adjust my life to the entrepreneurship cycle. And she helped, and she was that support. Because, when you're working for someone else, you have a paycheck, right? So it's usually like this, and it goes up. As an entrepreneur, it goes up and down, up and down.
All kind of crazy
So
ways.
when it's going down, you know who's talking, right? You got to get that back up, right?
Yes.
So it's like, it's up and down. So, she's definitely helped me, been a huge support. So now we're teaming up under the real estate business. So I definitely need her help in that aspect of things. So yeah, she's huge. My two daughters are wonderful. They're, 6 and 8. One wants to be a fashion designer. The other one, she just had a tryout for the gymnastics team, and they're both straight A students. So I try to schedule my family life around my business, and you never ever could be in balance. But I know that I'm there for my family, I'm there for my kids, and I'm there for my clients as well. So it's all about being an entrepreneur.
Thank you so much for coming on today and speaking to the audience about what exactly you do. Can you tell them how to find you, where to find you?
So I'm on a lot of different websites. My personal site is kylesellsbusinesses.com. That's KYLE sells, SELLS businesses.com. Or you can find me on LinkedIn, Kyle Griffith. My M&A company is called Strategic Merger and Acquisition Advisors. You can Google that on the web or Google my name. And my real estate company is Keller Williams Landmark. We are based in Flushing, Queens.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Again, I am Dr. Neva. You can find me by typing in drneva.com. The other website, Neva Alliance, nevalliance.com. I also want to let you know that I'm right now preparing to come to Kenya for the International Women's Day conference that we're having there. We're basically taking our conference on a world tour. So Kenya, November 11th, 2017. We will be there in full force talking about business woman empowerment. Again, you can reach me, drneva.com. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.